All right, good morning, everyone. We are back live streaming today, and we have a special guest on first time on my channel. We have Cody Davis. So, good morning, man.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good, good, good. Yeah, thanks for doing this. I'm sure a lot of people already know who you are, but maybe a quick 60-second spiel on who you are. What do you do, just for people that may not know who you are?
Yeah. So my name's Cody, and I live in Washington State. I've built a portfolio of primarily apartment buildings. Originally, I was buying them seller financed. Now I've got some bank loans and built a portfolio of a couple hundred rentals. Realized that wasn't exactly what I wanted the way I built it, so I right sized, sold a little over half of them. Took the rest of the money I got from the sales and bought out partners on majority of my portfolio, my bigger assets, and paid down a lot of debt. And I've been doing that for the last 6 years.
Yeah, I love that. So I think we had coffee, was it last year? 2 years ago? But we had coffee
Two
in
years
Hawaii.
ago, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot has changed since then. And I think I kind of got a feeling talking to you then, like this is where you would be. Like I think at that time you're already kind of looking at maybe right sizing the portfolio or whatnot. But there was a video on your channel, and like I said, I put your YouTube link in the chat, so everyone who's not subscribing, go follow.
Cool.
But it was
Thanks.
about reflecting on the process, kind of your journey. You talked about that you're sitting at an EV station, but it was a gas station before, with a Miata and stuff like that. But maybe kind of talk about that video and why you put that out there.
Yeah, I was thinking about it when I was driving back. I don't do a whole lot of late driving anymore. And so I was driving and I got home probably around midnight. And the reason I wanted to do that video is I used to do that drive to midnight, like to 1 a.m., 2 a.m., once or twice a week. And it wasn't in as nice of a car. I was driving a 1991 Miata until it eventually got stolen. So it was funny to look back on because I was sitting charging the car. And I was like, this gas station. Well, I used to sleep in my Miata when I got too tired. And a Miata is not a comfortable vehicle to sleep in, especially not the NA model from the 90s. So I would sleep in my Miata in the little bucket seat for an hour, 30 minutes, hour and a half, however long it took to recharge. And then I'd drive home the rest of the way. And so when I was sitting there late at night, I was just thinking, I used to do this once, twice a week. So much has changed since then because now I'm doing it once, maybe a year, if that. So that's kind of nice.
Yes, I think that goes back to all like I think Zuber talks about it, and you show like at such a young age just that sacrifice of what you're willing to do, right? And I think especially now people are talking about high home prices, high rates, and all these things, and there's always a reason for them not to purchase. And at that time for you kind of found a way, like you said, you did the sacrifice and whatnot. And you touched on it too. A lot of your stuff was seller finance early in your journey. We can also touch on that. I mean, how did I think that's what really like I think you were what the youngest person at the time on Bigger Pockets episode and whatnot. And how did you really get into going down that road of seller finance deals?
I don't know if I was the youngest, but I got into the seller finance deals for the brokerage I was working at. So the way that it worked, it was a boutique brokerage. The owner, I looked at him like a dad, so it was really a bummer when he tanked everything. But what I learned before his brokerage fell apart was that you can do anything you want to do as long as you don't say it's not possible. So he was like, well, everything I bought, I'm speaking to Sam, everything I bought with no money out of pocket. I bought seller finance, did it with multifamily, I did it with office buildings, I did. And so he made his universe happen. And he was never a victim to the situation until eventually he was a victim to every situation. But what I learned from that situation is that if I really want to go accomplish something, there's a way to do it. And there was a broker in the office, and he was selling a lot of deals. At the time, I wasn't selling a lot of deals, but he was selling multifamily. There was a fourplex, a sixplex, and a 12plex. He was selling in Moses Lake, which is now where I live. So you can kind of see how that sparked the idea. But it was 22 units, seller financed. The buyer for this guy, this broker, was going to borrow the down payment. The seller was going to finance the rest. And the broker is going to make a $70,000 commission selling a property to someone with no money, which was mind boggling to me because I was accustomed to making 12 bucks an hour coaching gymnastics. So 70 grand, it's a lot of gymnastics. And he was selling it to someone with no money. And that buyer ended up flaking out. The owner of the brokerage said, well, why don't you buy it? And it's like, well, I don't have the $300,000 down payment. That guy was going to borrow it, but I don't have that. And he's like, well, what if we figured out how you could borrow it? Now, long story short, that deal didn't come together. But it was him opening my mind to, well, how could I do it? And I had read Rich Dad Poor Dad at the time, so that reaffirmed what I had read. And I looked up on the MLS. Most of my good deals have been on the MLS. I looked up owner financing as a search term, and I found a 12-plex in Quincy, which was about 40 minutes from Moses Lake. I was under contract on it that week. I think it was 48 hours later, and I closed on it a couple months after that.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people here this morning kind of know your story, right? Like, seller finance, this huge portfolio initially, and you kind of touched on it already, is that you kind of reflecting on things and looking at right sizing. And I think you even mentioned you have some bank loans now, which is kind of new for you. I mean, where did this or when did this process of even thinking of maybe you want to right size some things or whatnot, when did that start? Or was there like a moment that switched for you?
It was a couple of years ago where I started thinking about it. I had an issue I've had in my life is I always just do what seems like the next logical thing. So I never really put a whole lot of thought. So when in school it was okay, I'm gonna just I'll take I'll go to AP Calc. Like I'll try and just keep going the next step and the next step. And with the real estate stuff, the next step was just buying another property rather than thinking logically. And it's like, okay, maybe I have enough. Let's just adjust some pieces. So I really had to consider what is the most logical next step, and it wasn't the next property. So I was started thinking about that a couple of years ago when I passed 200 rentals, and I only had a sixplex that I owned by myself at that time. The way that my pieces shifted, I had 30 at one point, and then I went down to six, and now I'm up to 61 with no partners. I figured out what really matters to me, and that's not the unit count, but it's what the unit count gets me. So that was definitely a development of my mindset, and that took a few years because I've been doing this for 6 years as far as the ownership side, and took 4 to figure that out and 2 to make the adjustment.
Yeah, I kind of like I said, we had coffee 2 years ago, and there was a lot of things I kind of picked up that day, and part of it was like the partnerships you're saying. It just like, how do you navigate that? Like, so if someone was starting today, do you think partnerships is a good way to get started, or like it feels like maybe you guys had different goals after it? Like I remember you saying kind of you wanted a family and these type of things and whatnot. I had different focuses, right? So.
Well, I would try and do it yourself because I had one big partnership, and now we don't own much together. We're actually signing docs to split up stuff today. That'll be the last straw. We're still friends, but which is awesome because not all partnerships that grow apart stay friends. However, I had 30 rentals before that partnership started. So my encouragement is just coming from my background. If I bought those 30 before the big partnership, I would try and get your base solidified. I mean, things can shift. I went from owning those 30, I had those by myself for a little bit. And then I took on partners to get capital to keep scaling because I thought that was the solution. And it wasn't. So I ended up buying partners back out of those deals later. But I would do it yourself if you can. And if you say the only way I can do this, which would be wrong, but the only way I could do this is with a partner, if that you truly believe that, then it would be better to buy a deal and learn the lessons with a partner than to not buy a deal at all. But I would recommend trying to do it yourself first.
Awesome advice. Chris Webb is here from Virginia. He says, "Hey Cody, glad you're here. I've been watching you for a while. Great story. Thanks for sharing." An all-nighter hider says, "Question: Has Cody found the bank loan leverage to be advantageous to his next step?"
Yes, absolutely. Because seller financing, you can get into deals for no money down, low money down, but bank money is a way to get liquid. So on my 39 unit, which I own by myself, collectively, I'm closing on a refinance soon. But from start to finish, I would have pulled out about 800,000 in tax-free money out of the deal, and I spent a lot of that on upgrading the building. But without that bank money, I would never be able to access 800,000, and it would take a long time to earn that, especially after paying taxes. So yeah, leveraging banks is a huge thing. And funny enough, I was qualified for $1.9 million bank loan before I qualified for a $300,000 bank loan. So I will say on the bank loan thing, if you don't have a W-2, bigger is easier.
Interesting. All right. Flavio, who I know has connected with you, I believe, but he's in Grandview, Washington. And I think this is what everyone likes about you. He said, "What inspires you? You are always positive."
Well, I don't know that I'm always positive. What you see is always positive. However, I'm goal oriented, and I know, well, I think I know what's at the end of the goals. You don't know it till you're there, so that's fair. But I am pushing to get to the critical mass point because a lot of my mentors have hit critical mass where they cash flow more in a month, and they're just regular people that have done the right thing for a long period of time. But they cash flow more in a month than the average household makes in a year, and it's without working. And they've told me about when they hit the critical mass point where there was just extra income. Right now, I've got cash flow, but I don't have so much extra because I've got a lot of repairs to do. If I had all new stuff, I'd be done. But I'm just pushing to get there. I think I know what it's going to feel like, but you don't know until you know. So I'm going to stay as positive as I can until I hit that goal.
I want to remind everyone that Cody is a part of the school community. He also runs the Saturday Gen Z accountability group. I know Jim, who's a little bit older, tries to sneak in all the time on Saturdays. But I know Jim, he always talks about, and he touches on that. What he really likes about you is that you're always looking towards the future and you're always kind of thinking of exit strategies and different things. So, where did that come from? Like, did your mentor teach you that, or was that always just kind of how you were, like looking that far ahead?
Hmm. It's, I did a lot of research when I was getting started, watched a lot of videos. I watched a lot of videos from Ken McElroy. I've met him a few times, and I've talked with Robert Kiyosaki in person over lunch, and met with the Cardones, and everything that they built took a long time. So that's helped shape my mindset towards things of being a long-term thinker. And then meeting people like Michael Zuber and like and Dion, it's not a sprint. I mean, you can sprint, but I sure did sprint. But then you have to recalibrate and adjust. So the long term thing has just been I'm a product of my environment, and that's what I studied. And I'm grateful I studied that because it would have been just as easy to study flippers, and then I would have been stuck in that path.
Like you're also thinking, like you're always thinking outside the box and putting your own unique spin on things, how to see things. Like where did that come from?
Oh, is the idea that if you want to do it, you got to do it. I have this saying I've been telling people for a while. It takes one to own one. You got to buy a rental to own a rental. And if you know what the steps are from chatting with people like you and people that have just bought rentals over a period of time, just lay out the steps and go knock it out. And if you don't know what the steps are, that means you just have to do a little bit of research because the steps are out there. So if there's any ambiguity, if I don't know what to do, you could even ask ChatGPT. I mean, it could probably tell you faster than anybody else. But chatting with owners are like, this is what I did. I did this, 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 and this. I found a deal. It wasn't the best deal, but I put it in escrow once I had the financing lined up, and I figured out the down payment, and I made sure it at least covered itself with upside. And so I was like, okay, those are the steps. So then you just repeat the steps, and boom, you own a property. And not trying to get a home run, you can amass a pretty cool portfolio. I don't think I've hit a home run to this day on any property.
Chris Webb has a question. He says, "Do you consider a base cash flow or unit count? Does the location play a role? Cash flow market versus appreciation market."
Well, in an ideal world, appreciation is the number one thing. But in the real world, cash flow is the most important thing. So I would buy in an appreciating market and structure the deal where you cash flow. And when I was getting started, I was targeting $1,000 a month per deal. That was the goal. And the first deal I bought ended up being closer to $800 a month. I did have a heater situation in the first 6 months that wiped out some months of cash flow, but slowly got it up. And today that deal's, granted, I have two empties, filling those, but it averages out close to 5,000 a month cash flow throughout the year. The thought was if I can get to 1,000 and there's some upside, that will make enough money to justify having it, because I don't want to buy a deal to cash flow $50 or $25 a month. I mean, that could go away so fast. But 1,000, that can pay for some repairs. Because my strategy is not to pay myself in the beginning. I stack 100% of the cash flow into reserves because I didn't have any money. So I was like, I need to be as risk averse as possible. So I'm just going to take all the money and stack it. So my thought was 1,000 a month. It'll go into an account. That'll cover just about anything. It wouldn't, but it would cover most things that I couldn't do or that I could do myself, was the thought.
See Brian tuning in. What's up, man? We were just chatting this morning. Hey, Hugo's here. Stay winning. What's up, man? Thanks for the super chat. Um, yeah, Hugo. I don't know if he's being serious. I think maybe he wants to write it down and save it. But he says, "Say that again, please, Cody." I believe what you said about the cash flow market, appreciation market.
Oh, so in an ideal world, which means you get everything you want, you would buy just on appreciation. But in the real world, you need to buy on cash flow. I mean, appreciation, everyone online right now is saying, well, I buy for appreciation and I don't care if a cash flow is negative a few $100. That's stupid. That's really dumb. Because while it works, it doesn't when it doesn't. And some of those people that are telling you that have massive course income. Well, all the people that are saying it actually do. And a lot of the big players, even locally in the Seattle area, their course income is 8 to 10 times more than their cash flow. And their cash flow is a lot. So you have to understand where your information is coming from. And a real world situation, you need to buy based on cash flow. Once you have enough cash flow, it doesn't matter. You can do the speculative stuff. But appreciation is how you get to the mega numbers, like 100 million, 200 million plus. But the cash flow is how you can survive until that point.
I love that. Great advice right there. Troy says, I think talking on you being very, I think you still have a few partners, I believe you said, but it says that freedom without partners has to feel good. Is that a good
Yeah.
feeling for you?
Well, it gives me freedom to do what I want. I want to get out of a hotel deal, and I own a 12-plex by myself. And so I'm giving that 12-plex to my partner to get me out of that deal. I have the freedom to do that. If I had a partner on the 12, I'd have to come up with money. I can just give them a cash flowing asset and say, hey, we're good. Walk away. And so that gives me choices. But if I had partners, that would make it a lot tougher. So you don't have to have everything yourself up front. But if you have a path to get there, that will give you more peace for sure.
I think that's even kind of like how you're talking about cash flow appreciation, right? Once you maybe get a portfolio on your own, right? And with a certain amount of cash flow. Then if you want to do bigger things with partners and take on some extra risk or whatnot, then you can also go down that route. But if you have your own kind of base portfolio for yourself, then that's kind of like your safety net in a sense.
It is. Absolutely, it is.
Brian's here and he says, I've watched Cody on his channel and others talk about deals on commercial properties. I was hoping one day he might do a kindergarten version of evaluating one of those properties, something like what Dion does in his member stream. Hmm. Any thoughts of doing something like that for the audience one day, Cody?
My audio just cut out at the last little
Oh,
bit.
okay.
Sorry.
No, no. So Brian said, I've watched Cody on his channel and others talk about deals on commercial properties. I was hoping one day he might do a kindergarten version of evaluating one of those properties, kind of like how Dion does on his member streams.
Yeah, I mean the kindergarten version is just total income less total operating expenses. Think taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance. What you're looking for is just what would I cash flow if I owned it in cash? That's the magic number. And with apartments, if you can grow the cash flow for someone, if they paid cash, your value will go up. And the bigger you can grow that number, the bigger the value grows. And that's the concept I'm doing because everybody's debt's going to be different. Mark's debt is going to be different than mine. A duplex loan might be different than a 40 unit loan. Well, not mine, it will be. And everybody's qualifications are going to determine their rate, their amortization, if they get interest only, and that'll affect their return. But the one thing that is consistent is if I paid cash, I will have X amount of cash flow. So the goal, if you're thinking about it from a kindergarten perspective, the net income, the net cash flow, if you own it in cash, grow that number and your net worth will grow. That's the idea.
I'm not even sure the answer to this, but do you have or have you ever, so not considering a flip or anything, do you have any single family homes in your portfolio or have you had single family homes in your portfolio?
I have five. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I never. So comparing, do you think people put like a obstacle in front of them when they have this idea of maybe should I switch to commercial or small or bigger, smaller apartments or whatnot? So like maybe they've invested in single family homes, and now they're like, should I go bigger? And then they kind of put these obstacles and make it harder than it has to be.
Yeah, a lot of people do. But at the same time, with my rental houses, I don't have a lot of problems. I just don't. I mean, my tenants are great, and that's just a product of having good tenants. I mean, it could have a bad tenant and have a terrible experience. But if I had the same amount of houses as I have apartments, I truly believe my headache factor would be more. So having a 39 plex versus 39 houses, my headache factor would be higher with 39 houses.
Interesting. Okay. Well, before we move on, then I want to kind of dig into that a little bit. So I've heard, Dion has his kind of ideal portfolio, right? And I've heard Zuber kind of mention if he could have like this ideal portfolio, when it would be like a 20, I believe, like newer paid off single family homes, and that would be like his ideal. So you're saying so ideal for you would be maybe a paid off 39 unit apartment or something instead of single family homes?
Paid off newer apartments, yeah.
Ah, okay. Interesting. Let's see. The Chris Webb says, when I watched Cody in the past, I changed how I thought about investing. I always ask, how can this deal work, even if it will not work for me? Then I got used to talking to people and ask questions. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's what you're really good at. When I watch your videos and hear you on Zuber's channel, there's always these insightful questions that you come up with.
appreciate that. Yeah, the quality of your questions helps determine the quality of your outcomes, right? I heard that from a guy named Brandon in Florida, and it's true. If you ask good questions, you get better outcomes. It's important to think about what you want to know.
I also think I've heard you, I think you may have mentioned before, maybe in the beginning, you consider yourself an introvert or whatnot. Like how would you advise people to reach out to owners or speak to owners and talk to them?
Well, you just got to make the call, or if email is more comfortable, but eventually you'll have to get on the phone. You just have to do it. I was super uncomfortable when I did it in the beginning, and my mentor at the time, owner of the brokerage, just said, "Well, just hit dial, and then you'll have to figure it out." And I did. It's unfortunate that you have to go through it that way as an introvert, but you talk with some grumpy people, like the grumpy contractor. You got to talk with some nice people that'll help you out, but you just got to make the phone call and know what you're calling about. A lot of people call to buy properties. I was calling in the past just to try and meet up, learn how they bought properties. That was my in. And then I'd meet up with them in person, and I got to see, oh, they're just real people. They've done it before. And that made it easier over time.
Just in practice, right? Just like you said, you got to do it, and then you practice, and it gets easier and easier. Chris Webb with another, he says, I want to say thanks to Cody for an interview where he mentioned how a teacher taught him how to make money while he sleeps. And now I do this for the last office hours of every class I teach.
That's great. Yeah, Mr. Davies, my civics teacher, he was great. He was a lawyer, and he brought that up. It's like, come on the last day of school, teach you how to make money when you sleep. And surely enough, I went. It was well worth it.
There's always that one teacher, right, that everyone kind of remembers or has that impact in their life, I believe. Um, I think Chris Webb, yes, I think Cody's DSCR video is a great start for Brian. I must say, okay. Is that that's on your channel, a DSCR video, or was it with Zuber or something?
Probably not. It's probably on the old multifamily strategy
Okay.
page.
Okay. Jim, the grumpy contractor says, "What was your biggest challenge with partners?"
Well, the the overall management was tough. I have I'm fortunate to have a vision for the properties that I work on. And so I look at it and I see what it could be. When a lot of people say, "Oh, that's a terrible deal." It's cool to architect the numbers in a way that makes sense, but it's also really important to turn the property into something that it could be, not just leaving it as what it is. And I got a lot of pushback in the beginning from partners, just different partners in general, about projects that I thought would move the project forward. And so there were things that were on hold for a while. And as soon as I bought out my partners, I got the projects done within a week, and it pushed my property values up like 20, 25% from little things. And so the ability to do which projects you think are best and then get rewarded for that goes a long ways for me. But I couldn't just say, oh, I want to spend money on hardscape, fencing, and a really nice sign. Couldn't do that.
Do you think that maybe from your experience, is it better to have partners that maybe the same personality, kind of same, not necessarily vision, but same thought process, or is it better to have people that are thinking differently so that you guys are kind of pushing each other to see things a different way?
It's good to have someone that pushes a little bit, but the partnership also needs to acknowledge that somebody is driving the boat.
Troy Roberts says, "Hey, oh, it moved. Hey, Cody, what are you doing now to generate capital for your next acquisition, or what have you done in the past that the group might not know that you've done to generate capital?"
Yeah. One thing I did in the past, so let's say I owned a property in cash, or not in cash, sorry. I owned it by myself, and I have it in an LLC. One thing that I've done is I've sold out shares of the LLC to get capital. That's a taxable event, so maybe you shouldn't do it, but that's what I did. So I sell out 39% of an LLC, get a six-figure capital injection, invest that six figures elsewhere, make a bunch of money, do a refinance over there, pull that money out, and then buy out that partner again. So I did that a couple times where I took in six-figure events selling out ownership, Not the most tax efficient way to do it, but I got my money, bought another asset, did a big value add, cash out refinanced, and then bought the person out. So then I owned a couple buildings by myself. That was something that I had done in the past. And other than that, I mean, pretty simple stuff. I've borrowed against my assets when I really needed a lot of money quickly. I There was one point where I had three 0% interest credit cards that I pulled money out of, finished my work, and then paid it off out of cash flow and refinance proceeds. Not the most sustainable model, as you only get 15 to 18 months of 0%. But my thought was, you know what, if I get a year and a half at zero and it goes to 24, what's my blended rate? And it wasn't even that bad compared to what I'd been borrowing if it took me 3 years to pay it off. So that's some of what I did to come up with capital. Now, I'm not in a huge buying spree, but the only way I would pursue more deals is seller financed. I've found that I can buy stuff nothing down if I get a bank on board with giving me a first and a seller giving me a second. So that's a cool way to buy stuff. I am partnering with one of my buddies, Cam. We bought a couple rental properties this year. So we bought a nineplex and a fiveplex. And he fronted the money. I'm doing the work, coordinating the work anyway. And then we're going to refinance and pull out all the money. And that's a zero down deal for me, and he'll get his money back. So you can partner. But everything else pretty conventional. 1031.
So that I put the link for the YouTube video that I was talking about on Cody's channel about reflecting on the process. Him sitting in the Miata. So if you want to go check that out. I also want to touch on. So hopefully you're having fun doing this, and maybe we can do this again.
Yeah.
But so to going back to Brian's point, maybe we can. You can walk us through a deal evaluation one time. Maybe Brian can send us something he's looking at. But Brian's saying the biggest fear I have in going commercial is the unknowns. I worry about missing some details like hidden expenses that I don't know about and only finding them after closing.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. It's going to happen. I mean, don't worry about it happening. It will happen for sure. So just be conservative with your numbers.
I mean, you could say the same for buying a single family home, right? I mean, you could miss something that pops up after, and like
And
I
you
said,
will.
yeah, yes. Oh, Andy, Big Five is here from Ohio, and if everyone didn't know, Monday I had a live giveaway, so to thank the community for me hitting 1,000 subscribers. I gave away a VIP ticket to the ORAD event. We also gave away a general admission and some Dion's books and some ORAD shirt. But Andy is a kind of a bigger guy, and I guess he was trying to type in the answers to the questions, and like it would auto correct him and so he could never get the right answer in, and his coworker was sitting next to him just laughing his ass off at this big dude trying to submit all these questions in. But let's see here. Oh, and I want to also touch on, you were talking about like kind of 0% interest credit cards. I think that's the thing a lot of people don't realize too. Like in the beginning, you're just trying to find ways to access capital too. So did you ever use like Plastique and all that, where like is that how you access the 0% credit cards to like pay vendors
No.
and what?
So I work with Appfolio for property management, and you can do a contribution with a credit card. So I paid whatever percent fee it was, like I think it was 2% or 3% or something, and then I accessed the money at 0% because I wasn't doing cash advance; I was doing a spend, and so I just do an owner contribution to Appfolio. Appfolio would pay me, and it was what it was.
Yeah, there's so many different ways out there, so you just got to get creative. All Nighter Hider says the same LLC share technique can be done with a trust using anything other than money, and it will be tax free. When done correctly, only money or dollars are taxable. This is not conventional, but done all the time. Yep. Chris Webb says, for your early partnerships, how hard did you stress exit and attorney meetings? How often did you meet with attorneys? And is there a basic exit strategy you use?
I had a buyout agreement, so I'd have the right to buy out somebody in the partnership for a fixed amount at a fixed point in time. I did it more expensive. It was the wrong way in the beginning, but what I first did was a 2-for-1 in 5 years. So if I bought someone out in 6 months for 5 years, it was the same buyout price. If they put in 100 grand, I can give them 200 grand and they have to walk. And I'd meet with attorneys when I was structuring a deal and exiting the deal, or if I had conflict. But there wasn't really a lot of conflict overall.
Hyder says, example. Okay, so back to the selling parts of the LLC. Trade Bitcoin for portions of the trust. Bitcoin transactions are not taxable till traded back into taxable dollars. And same thing. I'm not sure if I know the answer, but Cody, do you invest in anything else besides real estate?
No,
No. Okay. Flavio says, Cody, have you dealt with bad contractors?
many.
That
Yeah,
was quick.
yeah, it
Yeah.
happens. In the beginning, you don't have enough properties to get the good contractors, and you don't have enough money to pay them consistently. So you kind of get stuck with who will work with you. That's what I had.
Yeah. Totally agree. Brian says, love the answer. I definitely have missed some in small multifamily deals. Just seems like they are magnified with the bigger deals, but I like the mindset.
Can be, but if you have gross negligence in your due diligence, I mean, you're going to lose money on any deal. To be fair, I mean, my hotel project, if I knew what I was doing for due diligence, it wouldn't have mattered if I bought a 5 unit hotel, the 19 unit hotel that I got, or a 190 unit. I would have lost money. So you need to know what you're doing. Talk with people who've done what you want to do, and understand that you will lose the most money when you don't know what you're doing, and you will make the most money on bigger deals. You can make a lot of money doing small deals, house, duplex, fourplex, eightplex, 12plex. But the bigger you go, the bigger your earning potential is. So figure out what you're doing on the mid to small size properties. And then if you decide you want to go bigger because you want to make more money for some reason, I mean, a lot of people can get content with the small to mid-sized stuff. So there's no reason to go up there. But if that's what you want to do, just know what you're doing before you do it.
Andy says, no secret safe with Mark. Hey, man, it was funny hearing you tell me that story. Chris Webb says, do you look at conservative numbers as a percentage of what is happening on the rents? A percentage above quoted work.
Okay, so I think I understand what you're saying. So if the rent's 1,000, I'm going to say, well, I'm going to only take 800 of that. It's a percentage of the rents, 80%. I'm going to base my numbers off of what the rents are. However, I'm going to account for vacancy factor and the standard operating expenses. On your bids for quota work, yeah, you need to increase the percentage because they're going to go over. It happens. I was replacing a panel, and I was budgeting a few $1,000s, 3 to 4, and it came in at 6,800 because something I missed on my flip house is that the connection from the power pole to the building was only 8 feet off the ground. Not something I think about. So all my connections on my apartments are on the roof. It's out of the way. So on this house, it costs a few $1,000s to get it raised to the proper 12 feet off the ground. So you got to be conservative on that. So I had a buffer when I went into it, and that used some of my buffer.
See, even the pros miss things or make mistakes. So that, I think that's what the big takeaway, right? I think everyone is always concerned about missing something, and it happens. Like you said earlier, it happens, and you just kind of prepare for, or make plans for it, that it could happen. But it does happen. I mean, there's really no way to pretty much always cover everything. Like you said, right? Typically, your apartments, things are up here, but you're doing a single family home thing, and it's something
Well,
you never thought about, right?
and I'm a baby in this space. I've been doing this for 6 years on the ownership side. I have a lot of stuff to learn and mistakes to make, and people don't want to make mistakes, but I already know I'm going to make a bunch of mistakes. It is what it is. So you just have to do your best and don't go bankrupt.
Yeah, that's the best advice right there. Flavio says, Cody, thanks for the advice on the eviction. It worked pretty well. Good day moving on. Thanks.
Oh, good.
Can you touch on that? I don't know. Maybe is it some Flavio? I don't know. Can Cody touch on that a little bit? Or
I don't recall exactly what I said. Luckily, you don't have to remember what you said if you tell the truth. But I'm trying to think of the situation we were talking about. When it comes to evictions, there's a 14-day pay or vacate notice, and I let the attorney handle all that. The other thing is cash for keys. I might have told him cash for keys, where you offer, hey, I'll give you a cashier's check for $500 and wipe your past due owed if you leave the property on X date swept clean. I don't
Flavio, if
remember
you're
what I
still there, maybe chime in a little bit more information. Hey, KC's here. Good morning, man. Chris Webb says, Cody, do you research zoning before or after finding a deal?
Well, that's less important for this types of deals I do. I'm not doing ground up development right now, but if I'm buying an apartment building, I want to make sure it's zoned for apartments. If I'm buying a mixed use, I want to make sure it has the correct zoning because I own a couple mixed use buildings. But you got to make sure that it is, of course, compliant and it might be grandfathered in. So I was buying a mixed use building. I closed on it yesterday. 5 units, one commercial, four apartments, and it was zoned C1, so it would have to be a hotel if it was built today. So I actually met with the mayor and they said, no, this is fine. It was used as apartments. You can use it as apartments and as commercial. So I would definitely go through the process if you're buying a deal in the gray area.
Do you deal with any short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, rent by the room?
Not anymore. I'm signing away my rights to the resort today.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And then there's actually a triplex next to it that I'm working on buying my partner out of. So he gets the resort, and I get the baby resort, the little triplex on the wall, with the water view and all that. So I'll run that as probably as long term until it's paid off, but we'll see.
Hey, Charles McCune is here. He says the early discrepancies are caught, the cheaper the corrections are. The most expensive is everyone missing the discrepancy. Hmm.
Agree. It doesn't pay you to wait.
Yeah,
That
I
was one of my
think
biggest mistakes, actually. I waited to get some units fixed up at my sixplex, and I had one empty. I was like, I don't really have the money for this, so I'm just gonna let it go. And then another unit left, and then another unit left, and I was like, well, crap. Now I have three empties out of six. So I got a credit card and used a credit card to fix it, and then paid off the credit card. But I should have just gotten the credit card and got all the discrepancies handled, so then I could get the income back up right away. That was one of my biggest mistakes early on.
Flavio says I did a 14-day eviction letter. We were talking 2 weeks ago on the Gen Z call. Uh,
Oh, nice. The pay or vacate. That's great.
he, yeah, Charles is in the process of buying a helicopter, I think, or his wife wants him to buy a helicopter. But yeah, another thing is if people, I'm sure everyone here knows, but Cody is kicking off the ORAT event in Vegas. He is the first speaker, I believe, on Saturday, February 14th. And like I said, I believe this morning Zuber mentioned he's at 95 tickets sold, I believe. But his goal is to hit 100 by the end of August, so he's almost there. But yeah, I really think if you haven't grabbed your tickets, I would highly recommend it. I think once Pace Morby's community finds out, I think those tickets are going to sell fairly quickly. So, what can the people coming to the event? What is your presentation? What maybe be kind of based on? You think?
There's going to be a few talking points, but the overarching message is going from where you're at and getting started into where you'd like to go. So, getting that trajectory lined up, addressing the next logical steps with the pieces that you have. I don't want to go on the stage and just say, oh, this is how I did it. Because the reality is, someone could take a piece or two out of what I did and a piece or two out of what you did, and a piece or two out of what the lumberjack landlord and Zuber did. And that's probably how they're going to create their path to wealth. So my goal, and I'm going to have to wordsmith this to be effective, is to assess where the room's at and give actionable takeaways that are independent of everybody's goals. Because people are going to come from a background of kids, not having kids, student loans, car loans, credit card debt. Some are going to be really rich, some will not. And so my goal is to assess, okay, this is where we're at. This is where I'd like to be. These are actionable steps that you can take to help get yourself there. And that is going to be the topic of the kickoff.
Like I said, I know a lot of this was kind of based around one of the videos I saw on your channel, reflecting on the process and whatnot. But Josh Burdick is asking, do you see yourself staying in Moses Lake in the long term?
I will have a lake house in Moses Lake for the long term, and I will have apartments in Moses Lake for the long term. There's a lot of reasons that I am going to continue to invest here. I will not live here full time forever. I plan on getting a house in Gig Harbor, which is on the other side of the bridge from where I grew up. It's very beautiful over there, but I'd like to get a place there someday when I can afford it. Right now, that would make me house poor, so I'm not doing that. But eventually, my fiance, soon to be wife, and I are going to go move over there and probably get a house in University Place or Gig Harbor.
Wait, just to clarify, you're married already, right? You got married, right? Or is the wedding's?
Married 2 months from yesterday,
Okay.
so it's
So
coming
we
up.
so we can throw like a belated bachelor party type of thing in Vegas for in the ORAD event while everyone's there.
That'll be fun. And she'll be
Uh,
there.
yeah. Oh, and I think not everyone may know she born and raised right in Hawaii, or
Yep,
yeah,
Oahu. Yeah.
yeah. So that's where Cody and I actually had coffee 2 years ago. So is there any chances? Do you look for real estate deals on Oahu, or you just don't even bother with
I'm too poor for that.
it? Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I could figure it out. I haven't. I have spent exactly zero time looking at properties there, except for when I was visiting.
Yeah, it's nice to look at, but yeah, like I think it's just like you're saying, if you're not here, it's like don't want to focus that much energy on it when like you're saying in your backyard, right? You can do all these deals or these opportunities are there. Chris Webb says, I can read all the same books as Warren Buffett and still not be Warren Buffett. Take clues and develop a plan for you. Great message. Yeah, I think everyone's excited to see your presentation at the ORAD event. Any chance that do you know if you'll be, you know about the Denny's meetups, right? Dion's Denny's meetups.
I've heard about them. I've never been to the legendary Denny's meetups.
So, well, so the event is Saturday, Sunday. Usually Dion, there's Wednesday and Thursday, midnight is the Denny's meetups. Fridays they don't want people staying out too late, but I mean people will. But so usually the meetup is Wednesday, Thursday. So I'm sure if you can attend that or one of them, I'm sure people would love to pick your brain and ask you questions there. So
I'll
um,
be there. That'd be
yeah,
fun.
so we are making a executive decision, though. We're changing it, or hopefully changing it from the normal location that Dion and Millennial Mike used to go to, because that's like the hood over there. So we're probably gonna go to the one on Fremont, because it's a little bit closer to everyone. And people are like, "There's one right on Fremont. Why are we not going to this Denny's?" So we may change the Denny's location, though. But hey, Joe V's tuning in. What's up, man? Chris Webb says Denny's meetups are too late. Come on, you gotta sell. You gotta have fun in Vegas. Let's see what else. I think what I also see right now, and Dion guys touch about it quite a bit, is that kind of 5 years of suck, right? So, I think a lot of people. I see a lot of posts in school. I think a lot of people are having some struggles or taking some lumps right now. But and I know you've gone through your struggles too, but what advice would you give to someone who feels maybe stuck or can't see any progress right now?
I didn't start seeing progress until last year. in the sense that I didn't pay myself anything for 5 years as far as cash flow goes. I didn't get any cash flow. I'd done a couple flips, I'd done a couple cash out refinances, but I started paying myself out of the properties. And it took 5 years to pay myself. But the nice thing is, when I started paying myself, I had one property that's at 1,500 a month. It's just on auto pay. I got one that I pulled 2 to 3 thousand a month out of, and I just live on those two and invest the rest as much as I can. But it takes a while, and just know that it gets easier. I mean, I have a property, first property I ever bought. My original loan amount was 1,012,500, and now it's 925 as of this month, 926, somewhere in there. So while I haven't been feeling that, it's real. It's there. It's getting paid down. It's getting paid down faster. It really does compound. I'm just starting to see it. I mean, my first year of benefit is year 5 to 6, and I'm excited to see year 6 to 7, 7 to 8. But you got to get to at least 5. If you get to 5, you're not going to want to quit, and that's when you're going to start getting the actual benefits, and that'll motivate you more. So hang in there, do your best, keep crying to a minimal.
I love that. Yeah, totally agree. Like a lot of people know, I kind of just, sat on my hands for like 4 years, right? You're kind of just letting things stabilize. And like you said, you're not really taking anything from the cash flow. You're putting it's all being reinvested or building reserves or, paying for maintenance, repairs, whatnot. But yeah, like they say, but most real estate investors are broke, right? And a lot of them are, their money's going back into investing or whatnot. So definitely agree with that.
I'm definitely broke. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to do my cash out refi. I got my appraisal in 2 days ago, and if the refi goes through in the next 7 days or so, as soon as I get that money, I'm finally paying off my car.
What car? Oh, okay. I was
Well,
going to say,
well,
you don't have the Miata anymore, do you?
no, I didn't have a loan on that, but I made the dumb mistake of buying a brand new car at 21, and I brought a speculative car, the EV, and so I paid double what they're going for today, which it oh well. But I got a cheap rate. But I'm finally paying that off once this refi goes through. It's like I don't. It people think you have it all made if you have 100 rentals. You're just as broke as the people that have 10, if not more.
See, I think this information that you're putting out there today, I think is gonna be super helpful to a lot of people. Like you're saying, right? They see Cody Davis or have 100 properties, 100 rentals or whatnot, and they think you have everything figured out and whatnot, and everyone tuning in probably just hears like, hey, you make the same mistakes or you miss things also on deals, and you still have bills to pay and whatnot. But I think it's going to be super eye opening for a lot of people. Flavio's asking, where do you live? More west side or the east?
East Moses, Southeast Moses. Yeah.
Can we? So what's in the future for Cody Davis? Do you think we can expect your own course, like your own standalone course for yourself to help
Probably
individuals?
not. No, I do one-on-ones, and my site might be broken. I I don't spend a lot of time on the course thing. I mean, I of course did the multifamily strategy thing for a while, and Christian bought me out, and I'm glad we're still friends and things are going well, and he's ramping it up to be something bigger than I envisioned for it, which is awesome. But I mean, today I do one-on-one business calls, and that's about it. I don't want to be the guy that is famous and all that. It's not what I ended up wanting to do.
What about a book like Dion? Is that in the future, you think?
Maybe I don't think so. I don't know. I do YouTube videos twice a week, and I still wing them. I mean, Zuber told me I had to do a set time, so I try and do 3 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday, Thursday. But I still record those the day of. I mean, I just whatever's happening in real life, I post it. Sometimes it's 2 minutes, sometimes it's 10, and I want to keep doing that content. It keeps me sharp, and it seems like it's helping people. I'm getting over 100 views of the videos. Some get 300, some get 50. But I don't think I want to do courses. There's a lot of bad rap with courses, and they help a lot of people when they're put together by the right people. But I don't think that's my path.
Well, I think if people do want to get more help or information from you, they should just join school, for $20 a month, right? I mean, they get access to Cody Davis. You run the accountability group on Saturday for, yeah, I mean, it's called Gen Z, but it's open to everyone. So anyone in the school community can tune in. And
And I wouldn't join it for me. I would join it because it's a good community. I mean, I joined it and I like being there. I like engaging with people that are doing the stuff and the things. They're buying the properties and doing the due diligence, asking the questions. I wouldn't join for any one person. I would, if it were me, I would be joining for the community aspect for sure. And I watch Zuber's channel every day. I mean, he posts so much freaking content. It's crazy, but he's one of the only people I watch every day. And so he's definitely smarter people than me.
yeah, I have to agree. Yeah, the community is great. I mean, you'll find someone, or there is so much people doing different things in there. I mean, you'll easily find people that are probably doing something that you're interested in or kind of relate with. Uh, Charles says he likes the harassment in there. Believe he's referring to me, but I could be wrong. Chris Webb has to go. He'll see everyone in Vegas. Oh, yeah, Chris Webb will be on live streaming with me on Friday. One of his former handymans who is now kind of similar to Cody Davis. Actually, he's gone down the seller finance path. He's in Virginia. He's accumulated a lot of properties in his first 3 or 4 years. So that'll be a fun one. Flavio is saying west side is Seattle, east is Moses Lake. Okay. Yeah, well, we're about an hour now. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Hopefully, you had fun. Hopefully,
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, maybe we'll do this again. Maybe we can run through, break down the deal like Brian's hoping, like kindergarten style, and see how you evaluate things. Anything else you want to say to the people here or anything?
That's just fun. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it again. And if people wouldn't mind subscribing to the YouTube, that'd be cool.
Oh, come on, man. I'm sure everyone here subscribed to your channel, but I will throw Cody's channel in the chat just for those that may not be a subscriber. But like I said, hopefully, everyone's probably looking forward to your presentation at the event and probably spending some time with you. Hopefully, you'll be able to make it to the Denny's meetups, whatnot. But yeah, thanks for doing this, and I'll reach out to you again, and we'll do this again, man.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, thanks everyone. See you guys Friday.
See
Bye.
ya.